Well, hey guys, sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm trying to get Skype to launch so we can bring Elias in, which is why I've got the headphones on. So if you will just hold with me here, Skype just does not want to launch. So I was looking forward to an awesome show here tonight, and we're still going to try to make that happen, but it's going to require, well, to have the best show is going to require having our good friend Elias on. So hold one. Skype is just being terrible, and yeah. Anyway, so yes, Pale Horse, I'm late. I'll tell you what, I'll drop and give you 20 on my next canned video. So yeah, we'll do that. Elias said he's going to be in chat. Elias, are you in here? We're going to have a show one way or the other. But yeah, I'd really like to have the conversation. There he is, Elias, aka Liberty Review. He's back with us, and yeah, if Skype would just launch, that'd be great. So let's see what we can get going here. I'm waiting. While we're at it, because I did have to reboot the computer, so let me get a few things pulled up here. So Brownies, I've said hi to Brownies. Glad you're here, bud. Pale Horse is in here. Now I have 10 people in the stream, and have only heard from a couple of them. So go ahead and give us a shout out. I appreciate you guys being here. I know that Military Arms Channel is currently streaming, because I was watching that and with Such. So I definitely appreciate you guys being here. You know, Tim went for several months without doing any streams, and then all of a sudden he's streaming on Wednesdays. So there we go. Get this opened up. Sorry guys, I really had most of this stuff actually prepped, and we were just trying to get Skype working, and yes, my computer hates me. More importantly, Skype hates me. It is terrible. It's just not looking like it's going to load for us tonight, so that's aggravating. And I don't know if we can do video chat through any of our other resources here, Elias. My dad has a saying, shot at and missed. Well, the rest of that's not family friendly, so we're going to leave that alone. Well, hey, now this one. See, I updated Skype a little while back, and it gave me 2 listings, and so I'm never quite sure which one is the right one. So if nothing else, we're going to try to get Elias on here through audio. So hold one, everybody. All right, I have Elias on audio at least. Now let's see if I can add this as an audio source to the stream, and we will go from there. This would all work better if this would have just worked on the upfront, don't you think? And nope, that's not working. You know, be great if one of the two of us was a tech guy, right? All right, well, let's audio input, maybe device. Nope, that's not going to do it. Nope, that's not going to do it. I know that I know I've seen this somewhere in one of the many options available in OBS. Speaker, think, partial, okay, and transition. All right, why don't you try to say something there, Elias? Okay, well that didn't do what I wanted. We'll get this, guys. And so we'll do that. Okay, transition. And let's try that. Yeah, no, I've still got nothing. I guess maybe I should take a look at the chat though and see if somebody is saying, hey, we can hear him. All right, well, let's see who else has come in. Zeke is here. Zeke, I appreciate you coming. Randall Hill, Vanessa. We got most of the crew here. They just can't hear you, Elias. All right, well, I've only got one other option here for NDI sources, and that's local, and I don't know if that's going to do it. Yeah, Randall, I know we're not hearing him. All right, one more time, Elias. What's this get for us? Nope, I've still got no source input, because why would I? Go back to Skype. Back to Skype. Hi, Skype. And it says that I've got NDI running. So I tried, Zeke, try desktop audio capture. All right, we will give that audio output, new, and maybe try my headphones. Okay. Transition that. All right, try to say something there, Elias.
How about now?
Well, I saw some peak. Did anybody on the other end hear Elias there? Yeah, Vanessa, I know it's just a blank screen. We're going to actually have to put up a static picture of him. Zeke has you, so we're going to add one more thing and make this all a little bit more presentable, and then we are going to go on with the show.
Hey, yeah, you find one way or the other to do it.
Absolutely. Adapt, improvise, and overcome. Ra. Wait, that wasn't you. You were off in the wild blue yonder or something, right?
I know, you still gotta adapt and overcome.
All right.
That's just military life in general, just any life in general.
Right. Well, hey, that's actually a really good lead-in for all of tonight. Let's, we're going to put that right there.
Yeah, like right now, everybody's kind of having to adapt and overcome.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, I'm going to have a static picture of Elias up here very, very, very shortly. And it won't be quite as good. There will be no animation to him, but such is life, right? And there we go. We have Elias on the screen. It's Elias from, a couple of months ago, and it's still not updated on the on YouTube. So now that we're 15 minutes into
I see it.
when we're supposed to be there, we're 10 minutes into the actual stream. Elias, welcome back to Tactical Review, my friend. I'm glad to have you here. You had taken a break for some mental and spiritual health.
Yep.
And you chose now to
Yeah, I
come
think it's
back.
something I to do a little bit.
2 versions of Skype, one for streaming and one for not. You could still use the NDI, or you might need to update Skype or OBS, Zeke says. Actually, Zeke, I've updated both Skype and OBS. What I'm thinking I'm going to have to do is go through and dig and delete everything Skype related, maybe run CCleaner, reboot 3 or 4 times.
We might want to look at, see if there's anything besides Skype too.
Well,
I mean, at this point, Microsoft's kind of giving up on Skype anyway, so.
Okay, well, yeah, we will. For next time, that's stuff that we were going to dig into, and then we just never did. So, okay, I can remove this from my 8-mile-long list of things. Okay, now then, go over here, scroll back, and okay, once again, everybody, welcome. Thank you for your patience as we were working through all of that, and yeah, so tonight, okay, Zeke, yes, I will take you up on that offer for sure, because Elias, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to get over to any of Zeke's streams. I've been privileged to be a guest on a couple of his, and he does some cool stuff where he pipes in voice chats from his Discord and does all sorts of cool things. So,
There you go.
So anyway, as you folks can see in the title, we are going to be talking a little bit further about the coronavirus throughout the evening. Here in 10 or 15 minutes, I am going to do our 250 sub giveaway drawing. I know that's why you're all here. You guys want free stuff, and then we'll just all disband, right? So I'm not going to tell all of you good folks at home what you should or should not believe about COVID-19. I am going to tell you that we're playing this straight. I think Elias and I are in agreement that we both believe that there's a highly virulent strain of coronavirus, which is the virus responsible for the SARS, and that it is a new and unique strain. But as we go through the night, I think that we can both also agree that the governments of the world will let no good tragedy go unused. So, I don't believe it's a lie. I don't believe it's a complete conspiracy, but I think that it will be attempted to be leveraged towards that end. Elias, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, if we look back at any kind of tragedy, the government tries to use it as much as they can, whether it has to do with school shootings or you're talking about 9/11. 9/11 was probably one of the bigger ones, especially because it brought the Patriot Act.
Right.
So, I mean, it's really not surprising.
So, all right. So that being said, yeah. Let's, we're going to dig right in because I'm sure, well, most of you guys, I follow a lot of you guys on social media, and a lot of you guys have posted pictures of your local stores that look like things that we might have seen 4 months ago in Venezuela. And, yeah, so towards that end, you guys have probably seen the news story of the Colvin brothers down in Tennessee who bought up some, I think it was 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, looking to sell them probably at immense profit. Now, they claim that they were only covering their handling charges and that they're doing a service because, of course, they would say that. But then Amazon and eBay both kicked in anti-price gouging policies, and now the Colvin brothers have no place to sell their hand sanitizer, and the last I heard they were actually working on donating those. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But, oh hey, there's something else that I didn't get done. So I will keep yakking real quick while I get this pulled into...
Yeah, they were... So I don't think they were covering handling charges because the sanitizer was going between $8 to $70 each.
Well, you know...
It's a lot of really careful handling if it's $70 each.
They had to cover their... they had to cover the cost of driving... I think that they drove something like... up to 1,200 miles. Maybe it wasn't that far. It was some huge amount. Anyway, so if you have not been able to get a hold of any hand sanitizer anywhere, I have something for you. And as a matter of fact, Brownies, this next segment is in your honor. So here you go. I may have to do some tweaking as I get this little pre-rendered video going. And Elias and I will be back here in just a couple minutes.
Welcome to Cooking with Tactical Review. I'm your host, and today we will be making a very special recipe, hand sanitizer. For this, we're going to need a whisk, measuring cup, and an item in which to mix, preferably with a pour spout. For our ingredients, we need 100% aloe vera gel and 91 or higher percent isopropyl alcohol. The higher your percentage of isopropyl alcohol, the more potent your hand sanitizer will be. Now, this is a very simple recipe. It is quite simply 2 parts of rubbing alcohol to every 1 part of aloe vera gel. To accomplish this, we're going to be using a 2/3 cup measuring cup that has a 1/3 measure cup step down in here. So what we're going to start with obtaining 1/3 of a cup of aloe vera gel. We will put that into our mixing vessel. Alright, and now we will need 2/3 of a cup of rubbing alcohol. And you could simply slosh some rubbing alcohol onto your hands and sanitize your hands that way. It tends to be messy and it dries your hands out pretty badly. Just trying to get all the aloe vera out of the measuring cup. Rubber scraper might help with that. Alright. We can go ahead and cap our isopropyl alcohol. And we're going to want to start by stirring very gently to start getting this to mix. And then begin to mix more vigorously as we go on. Alright, this is a good bit runnier than what I thought it would be. This would probably be better off utilized in pump spray bottles, the little small pump spray bottles. You can get those for under $1 at Walmart. I thought that we were going to end up with a more gel-like consistency. And if you had maybe 99% isopropyl alcohol, you could probably do just a touch more aloe vera gel and still have a high enough concentration of alcohol. We don't have that. So anyway, I've got these squeeze bottles. I got this 4-pack of squeeze bottles from Walmart for around $3.50. We're going to go ahead and use these, even though again a pump sprayer would probably be better suited for this. So we're just going to take our handy dandy hand sanitizer and we are going to put it in our little bottle here. Recap that. And there you have it. Dispenser bottles of rubbing alcohol. If I've done my math correctly, this works out to about 60.5 or 61% isopropyl alcohol. That is compared to about 62% isopropyl alcohol for the store-bought stuff. and but it does have some aloe vera in it, so that it shouldn't dry your skin out quite so badly. And obviously, you're going to want to make sure that you utilize this very similar to the way you would washing your hands. Make sure you get some good friction there. That way you do nasty things to little bugs like the coronavirus. Things like break down that viral shell. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time on Cooking with Tactical Review when we make Play-Doh. It might be angry.
Well, guys, I hope that helps you guys. I know that even 91% isopropyl is out of stock in some places. So if you can find it, grab it. If all you can find is the 70% stuff, you're going to have to use the rubbing alcohol straight, because you do need at least 60% isopropyl alcohol to function as a disinfectant. That said, Randall, I saw you were saying that you hoped some would come out of your monitor. Guys, if you're having a hard time finding this stuff because of people who are panicking and have firmly planted their heads in their sphincters, go ahead and email me at tacticalreview@protonmail.com and let me know that, and we will work something out. I'll make up some of these 3-ounce bottles of this liquid hand sanitizer, because I bought that aloe vera gel and I bought that that isopropyl alcohol for this demonstration. I'll probably find some of the pump sprayers, because I think it will be better for this, and I will get you guys hooked up. We're community. We need to act like it. We've talked about that before. So, yeah. And to that end, I also saw that Amazon will start having bulk packages of toilet paper back in stock first week of April. So, I don't know. Again, I'm in a family of 6, so I buy bulk anyway, and I only buy toilet paper about twice a year. So that's worked out well for me right now. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things we've kind of all got to look out and take care of each other. So Vanessa, stores are empty. Well, and Vanessa, you need to be like staying inside and get somebody to bring stuff to you anyway, because yeah, we talked about that last night on the premiere. Oh yes, I have a cough. We talked about that on last night's show too. Anyway, going on here, would Everclear work? I think, Elias, have you heard anything about that? I know that they've said vodka will not. I think it has to. I mean, Everclear's 200 proof, isn't it? 190 to 200 proof.
I'm not sure. Never had it.
Everclear might do it. It'd be an expensive way to do it, but it might do it. So good. Got people. Okay, Everclear is 85%, so it should be good to use for sanitizer. Vinegar will not work in this instance.
I'm actually seeing somebody who tried it out.
So, okay. Yeah, anyhow, if you guys would like some Tactical Review brand hand sanitizer, again, I did the math. 91% is 9.1 parts out of 10. Obviously, our alcohol. Aloe vera is 0 parts out of 10. So, and there's 2/3 of this, 1/3 of this. My math put it at like 60.5%. So, yeah. Supply and demand, that's what we were talking about. But it is 9 o'clock, so we're going to let the peanut gallery determine our next course of action. Sound good to you, Elias?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, guys,
Mop roll.
go ahead and shout out in the in the live chat. Do you want to go ahead and do the 250 subscriber drawing, or do we want to kind of continue with the discussion we were on and get to the drawing after that. So, show Randall. Randall, I do not have a fever. I've only got a cough. I've had a runny nose. And initially, I had read that no fever and a runny nose equals just a cold, but I've read something new since I recorded my first video about coronavirus that, yeah, it might have some more information. So, all right. I think we're going to go ahead and do this drawing, Elias. So let me
Go for it.
Let me pull this up and see if this is still configured properly, because nothing else is still configured properly from before the reboot. All right, that is, but let's get this out of the way, and we are good to transition across. Okay, guys, we had 10 people register for the drawing, and so we're going to use, you see right there on the screen is the spreadsheet, first name and last initial, because I'm not trying to dox anybody. Obviously, I've got the contact information I need. We are going to use random.org, and we are going to set our bounds to 2 and 11. Just double check that that is, yes, row 11 is our last registry, and row 2 is our first. So you have a 1 in 2.5 chance of walking away with one of these items. And real quick, before we do the drawing, we have 2 of the i3E EOS. We have 1 i3T EOS. And we have 1 EDC dump tray with Mr. Washington ready to remind tyrants what we do to tyrants. So we will start with the 2 i3E flashlights, and we will get the drawing back up on screen. And the way I'm going to do this is one winner, or one item per winner. So here we go. Our first winner of an i3E is row number 8. Row number 8, Jason P. If you are watching, congratulations. You have won an i3E EOS. All right. Prize number 2 for the second i3E. We're going to generate that. Row number 8, you can't win again. Row number 3. Who is row number 3? Christian M. Congratulations. You have won a keychain flashlight. Excuse me. And sorry about your speakers and headphones there, folks. All right. Our third winner for the i3T EOS flashlight is row number 10, Jeremy W. Congratulations, Jeremy. That is the same model that I carry on my belt every day. I love that flashlight. And you can go back and rewatch the EDC flashlight video and see how long that thing ran on a single battery. And then for the big prize, and once again, I want to thank Four Brothers for donating this at cost. The winner of the dump tray is row number 2, which is Vanessa K. Vanessa K, congratulations on your EDC dump tray. I will be, I've got to spell properly. Let's get this out of the way, and we will get this out of the way and go back up here. So congratulations, Pale Horse. I had a link. It was bit.ly/TR250GAW. We will be doing another giveaway when we reach 500 subscribers. So thank you to everybody who entered. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed and watched the channel. You guys are awesome. For all of you winners this evening, I will be reaching out to you to get shipping information sometime here in the next couple of days. So congratulations, everybody. I will make sure that we have a list of winners available. Probably put that on the Instagram. Hopefully catch anybody who isn't able to watch the show tonight. Of course, you don't have to be present to win. And yeah, Alaskan Ballistics is rigged. No, I mean, maybe, possibly. Elias, Randall wants you to quit staring at him. Oh, goodness. It's been a while since I've...
You've seen Galaxies of the Guardian 3, or Guardians of the Galaxy 3, if I can talk right. I've mastered the art of not moving.
Oh, goodness gracious. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Wait long enough and none of you will see me.
Correct. I had... Who was it? Poor Conservative. Is he here yet? I did start streaming a little early. He had asked me... I posted a picture on Instagram the other day that I had gotten my Second Amendment mug, and I'm really happy with that side of it. But this side, I don't even know if you guys can see it. It's got the 2A bullet logo there, and it's really not all that visible. And then it ended up double printed. So Poor Conservative had asked me why I was going to be pulling this from the merchandise store, and that's why. Anyway, okay, where...
Barely make it out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to redo that. That image looked really good on... somebody posted on Instagram that they purchased one of the 2A Bullets t-shirts, and it looked really good on the t-shirt. However, on the coffee cup, it just didn't turn out. So I'm going to have to do some finagling with that. So before the drawing, we were talking about... What would you call it? Fair trade, fair market? Is that what you would say, Elias? We were talking about price gouging.
What they were doing? Yeah, I mean...
Excuse me.
What they were doing was trying to capitalize on an event going on. And
to a degree, good for you. Okay, that's kind of the core of capitalism, of the free market system. But in reality, you guys are D-bags, and screw you. Because you're capitalizing on the suffering of other people. I get wanting to make a profit. Okay, I do iPhone repairs. All right. Obviously, I charge for my labor. I charge for my time. But there's a difference. Well, here, let's step outside of this and let's look at. We're going to look at a couple of other situations to kind of highlight this. And here's the deal: these guys are individuals. I actually have a little bit more sympathy for individuals doing something like this. Excuse me. Than I do for businesses that do so. So let's look at an example that my internet connection. Let's go with that, because as I've mentioned before, I live in the middle of nowhere in Indiana. My choices for internet are DSL or a couple of different fixed wireless providers. And for DSL, it was rated at 7 megabit for I think it's $40 a month now. They had a price increase after I was no longer their customer. And even just a few blocks from the carrier office, I was doing good to get 3 megabit service. And if it had rained, if the ground was wet at all, the line attenuation would get so bad I would drop below 1 megabit. It was basically unusable. Where for starting at $10 a month more, I get 10 megabit. And actually I get a little bit more than that, but that's another story. So here in rural Indiana, you know, that's fine. It's a little high, but only when you compare it to some place like, well, I'm sure there's no way that you would pay in the city that you would pay $50 a month for 10 megabit service.
You'd be surprised.
Well, and I can compare that directly to actually probably one of the best places in the country to live as far as internet is concerned. Down in Chattanooga, there's still a DSL option. There is cable internet, and then the power company, when they were rolling out their smart grid, decided to become a home ISP and offer fiber optics. And so currently, the last time I checked, for $60 a month, you could get 100 megabit symmetric internet, or for $75 you can get gigabit symmetric. And that was the only two packages that they offered. Okay, but I don't blame a company in a situation like that. They're not massively overcharging, but they're charging a little bit more than what the going rate might be elsewhere. That's fine. They're providing a service. You don't have a right to somebody else's service. It's quite all right. But now let's look at a commodity like gasoline. Excuse me, I've got a bad tickle in my throat tonight. The local gas station it's also a convenience store, and if you want anything from a soda to a loaf of bread to a hot pizza to a sandwich, whatever, without driving a half hour, and you don't want to make it yourself, obviously, this local gas station is the place to stop. Like many small towns, yeah? But after 9/11, I don't remember, gas was hovering right around $1.25 before 9/11? Does that sound about right? That's been a long time.
Yeah, probably about that. Somewhere in the dollar range.
Anyway, immediately after 9/11, this local gas station owner responded by spiking gas to $5 or $6 a gallon here. And, you know, there were folks who, because some people don't plan ahead, and we'll talk about that more later, I think, they were planning, they ran their vehicle nearly out of gas, which is bad on your fuel pump. That's another story. And they stopped in expecting to pay $1 something a gallon and see that it's 6 times that cost. Well, a few people had to grudgingly purchase gasoline there. But then that individual had to sell the gas station because a small community has a long memory and nobody would purchase from him again. So, I don't know, I guess that's what I'm saying is we do still have the ability to vote with our wallets. And if you have gained access to a quantity of something that's a necessity, it's within your right to sell it. It's within your right to sell it at a profit, but you're kind of a jerk if you're going to sell it at like 300 or 400%. Would you agree there?
Yeah, what they probably could have done that would have been a little bit smarter was fine. Go ahead and get a whole bunch of it, stockpile it, and then when the supply starts to run out, that's when you start selling it for a modest
Oh,
profit.
absolutely. And so, while we're talking about how these individuals are terrible human beings, well, there's a couple things to touch on there. Number one, Amazon and eBay, they're private entities. They are well within their right to have anti-gouging policies and to enact those. City and state governments, what do you feel about that, Elias?
It's really kind of a hard thing to say because the cities and the local government does have the right to regulate business. The federal government has rights to an extent when it deals with interstate commerce, but on a local level, that's definitely, I mean, the locals have the right to do it.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely.
But and that's the way our system was designed. Our system was designed to give as much power to the local as you can. 10th Amendment gives anything that's not in the Constitution to the states.
Okay.
I mean, I think we kind of talked about this before, where the states, if Indiana wanted to make Baptist the official religion by the Constitution, the Indiana had that right. Not by the Indiana Constitution because they chose not to have that, but they could have when they crafted it.
Gotcha. And even as an evangelical Christian, specifically even as a Baptist, I wouldn't want to see that because, well, that goes against the tenets of Christianity for one thing. But
right, but the fact is, it was
Right.
there. Is that that was the whole way our system was designed to be. Which is why you're seeing all these shutdowns on a local level, not by the federal government.
Okay. So, anyhow, but as I mentioned before with the gas station locally, the local community used our power to vote with our wallets. Now, I wasn't living in the area at the time, but we explained that this individual was not a good neighbor, and financially we explained that, or this community explained that. Which brings us to...
Real quick. Hey, Vanessa, you're right. The Constitution the Bill of Rights applied initially to the federal government. It limited what the federal government was allowed to do. They could not establish a religion. They could not restrict the use of firearms. They could not do all these different things. And initially, it did not apply to the states. The idea was let the states do what they want. And if you don't like it, you can pick up and go to a different state and still stay within the nation, within the country. However, after the Supreme Court decided to start applying the Bill of Rights to all the states through a kind of a convoluted way of the 14th Amendment, then it became that you couldn't do it.
All right.
So.
Oh man, this. Well, what I'm getting ready to show you, I guess I should give a not safe for. This is gore of some sort. Speaking about small communities and being taken advantage of and having a long memory. Some of you folks have seen this, and it is within this company's right, but I think that they're terrible for doing this. Before I transition to this, I would like to point out that as recently as last Friday, and certainly the last time I purchased bulk steel case 223 ammunition, excuse me, it was running about 19 or 20 cents a round shipped. I would like to present to you one company's solution to the current ammo scarcity. 55 cents a round before shipping for steel case ammunition. And they're out of stock, so somebody was desperate enough to pay that.
Welcome to supply and demand.
Right.
And then taking advantage of supply and demand.
Absolutely. And it is well within that company's right to do that. It is well within our rights as the firearms community, to remember that they did the same thing during the Obama administration, immediately after Sandy Hook, which I guess is still during the Obama administration, and now they're doing this again. I understand that every retailer, their supply chains are getting scarcer, that the actual manufacturers are increasing cost. What I'm seeing as an average cost increase is something in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 cents per round more. Not, 100% to 300% increase. So for those, most of you guys that I'm seeing in the chat, you guys you're not new to the firearms community. But maybe somebody's going to stumble across this who is. And so just some guidelines from what I've seen across the last year as what you could anticipate being kind of normal prices for the calibers that I shoot. For 223, and this is for range ammo primarily, 223 for steel case is around 18 to 22 cents per round. Brass case, there's some variety in brass case, but by and large around 28 to 30 cents a round is what I usually would pay until right now. For 7.62 by 3.9 in steel case, right around the 20 cent per round mark. 9mm in steel case would be around 12 or 13 cents a round. Brass case is around 18 or 19 cents a round. 40 Smith & Wesson, I haven't bought any of that in a while, but I think it was around 20 cents a round. And 45 ACP around 25 cents a round. 300 Blackout's a little bit more esoteric, and I was paying about 40 cents a round for ball ammunition for it. And pretty well across the board, I've got a cat trying to climb my computer, sorry folks. Pretty well across the board for self-defensive stuff in handguns, 50 to 60 cents a round. Rifle stuff would start around 70 cents a round. And then stuff like the Underwood Extreme Defender, those really boutique-y rounds, not uncommon to pay $1.50 a round for that. Bigger rifles is bigger cost. That's outside of this realm, but there you guys go. That's kind of a basis if you're looking for, well, what's average and what's normal. I know yesterday I did find some ammunition at my local farm store. I got some 22 long rifle for right at 4 cents a round, which is fairly normal, and I was able to pick up some brass 9mm for 18 cents a round for range ammo. The good retailers, again, they're increasing cost a little bit, and they're just out of stock. So supply chains will firm back up, and that goes for everything, guys. If people will quit panic buying, there will be groceries, there will be toilet paper. Yeah, that's hey, Poor Conservative is here, and he's saying 40 right now, about 24 cents, and 300's about 45. Yeah, okay. Excuse me. And for those of you guys, if you haven't come across it, ammoseek.com, it's a great way. They aren't able to check like the Sportsman's Guide Club price. They can't check places like Big Daddy Unlimited because those require memberships. But most of your regular retailers, they're able. It's a search engine just for ammunition. So yeah, I use them, and even now I use them. Right now their website is running a lot slower, so I would check my local retailers and keep an eye on AmmoSeek, and yeah, there you go. And reloading is definitely a good idea if you have the ability. Do be warned, I think it was Grand Thumb, had said, I won't swear to that, but it's one of the big YouTubers, said that one of the ammo companies reached out to him and did let him know that even reloading components are getting ready to increase in price from the manufacturers. So without causing a major catastrophe for the rest of us, do get it while the getting's good. So yeah. Oh, and again, if you guys need hand sanitizer, don't forget, reach out to me and I will make sure to get you guys hooked up. I've got 4 of these squeeze bottles already, and then I can pick up some pump sprayers next time I'm in town. I am doing my best to not go to town all the time, and I'm practicing that social distancing. Fortunately, I live out in the countryside, so I'm still able to get out and get some fresh air. I realize that if you live in a city, you can't walk out of your house or apartment and stay away outside of 6 feet from somebody. So, all right, what's going on here in the chat? Gas here, 0.3 miles, $2.79. In Massachusetts, it's a little less than $1.99. Vanessa, actually, gas right here, I looked at that. Actually, that same local gas station, which is under like its 3rd owner since 2001, it's at $1.99. And I saw, because oil is down to, was it around $20 a barrel today, Elias? Does that sound right?
Is it down that far? I haven't looked.
I think that's where it was, and so they are estimating we might go sub $1 for the first time since the late 90s. Poor conservative reloads.
There we go. Crude oil has dropped to the lowest since 2002.
Oh, wow. Hey, that was a pretty good guess, seeing as how I was.
There you go, 20.37 a barrel.
I was a young college student at the time and didn't really pay a lot of attention since then. So,
I should go buy some oil futures.
I'm actually, yeah. So, I don't know, you've been really digging into some economics and some tradings lately. Would you agree that if somebody has some liquid assets, it might be a time to buy in?
Oh yeah, it's definitely time for some long-term investments.
Oh, wait.
We're not at the bottom yet.
Let me give a disclaimer.
Oh yeah.
we are not soothsayers. We're economists.
We're not financial experts.
Yeah, this does not constitute advice, legal, financial. I mean, even me telling you to use hand sanitizer, that's not even health advice, because for all I know, you're allergic to it. All right, I think we've covered our butts. Anyway,
we're not actually experts. We're just 2 idiots that talk too much.
Absolutely.
Don't sue us. No, I mean I am. I'm starting to get into the market a little bit, and I'm not playing around like some people do, but at least throwing some money in just for some long-term investments, because we're going into a recession now. We've got to be. Besides the fact of what coronavirus has freaked everybody out and they're selling on the market, but also you've got a lot of businesses and stores that are closed now, which means that their earnings are going to be missing, which means the market's going to go down more, and that's going to go into, from what we're hearing now, this could go on for months before things start to kind of stabilize, just to the point where people can go back out and do things, which means companies are going to start losing money.
So that's kind of a good time to segue. Obviously, we're hearing mixed reviews. This is a completely novel situation. There were some preparations back in, I think it was 2012, for H1N1 Was that 2012? Was that 2013? Anyway,
somewhere around there.
there was anticipation that H1N1 would become super pandemic like this, and it didn't. Not to say that it wasn't devastating in certain places, but it was not what we're seeing now. The last time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time that I've seen on record that there was anything like what we're seeing out of COVID-19 was the Spanish flu in the 1920s.
Yeah, 1918 with the Spanish flu was definitely the last big pandemic. I mean, there's been other pandemics, but this is what they're pretty much all comparing them to at this point, is the Spanish flu. H1N1 is the flu shot people were already getting. It was just a new strain, right, is what swine flu. This is a whole new virus.
Right. Now, there's some things that can change a lot of this. And the economic impact from social distancing and voluntary quarantining, that would have been unavoidable with this disease. The first hit of economic impact and the scarcity is all due to media panic. And I'm gonna once again say that you good folks who are watching this stream, you obviously are well educated and have great taste, and or you wouldn't have been watching this stream. So you're not the ones who went out and were panic buying, but your friends are dubious, and they believed everything that the media told them, and now we're in this situation. So yeah, Vanessa, obviously AIDS is terrible, and AIDS and HIV, but that's not so virulent. That's the thing. So what I've been able to ascertain, once again, Elias, step in and stop me if you have heard different things. So COVID-19 is not, from what we've been able to determine, truly airborne. However, it's quasi-airborne because it is able to travel in like spittle droplets and stuff. And those atomize when we cough and sneeze. Furthermore, it can live on surfaces up to 72 hours outside of a human host. And so what happens is we touch surfaces, and then our face itches, and then yeah, we get it. Furthermore, we are finding that you can be asymptomatic and still contagious.
Yeah, actually, I was even being told that the asymptomatic ones have a higher, easier for them to spread.
And that could well be. So even in a person who becomes highly symptomatic, it has a 7 to 14 day gestation period wherein most people will be asymptomatic excuse me, but they're still potentially contagious. So initial reports, which came from China, and this is what I shared on my video that I released yesterday, showed a very high, like abnormally high mortality rate in China. Now, once again, China had a few other things working against them, one of which is their overall respiratory health, another of which is the population density in their country.
It also doesn't help that they were trying to pretty much deny it.
Right, and I talked about that. Their communist regime doesn't want to look bad, and so they suppress information like that. Even now, they're trying to claim that it was a United States bioweapon, even though virologists around the world have studied this and say there are no genetic markers of being bioengineered, and that it's a natural mutation. Compare that to, in the United States, we had the Diamond Princess. That was the cruiser ship, right? I think that's right. Anyway, so we had the Diamond Princess where, excuse me, got infected and had to be quarantined. And so every person on that ship was tested for COVID-19. Some of them multiple times. And so they actually have a much better idea of what the range of symptoms look like, which is why I apologized early in the stream that I may have inadvertently lied to you. There is a chance that what appears to be 100% common cold could be COVID-19. And that's why they're saying, if you have a cough, stay home. Because the vast majority of, especially of younger people who got COVID-19, some of them did not even have cold-like symptoms, and yet they were contagious and they tested positive for COVID-19. Up into the super severe cases, which is something like 12% of cases, I think is what I've read, are severe cases that require ventilators and hospitalization and ICU. Excuse me.
Give me a second and I'll find out exactly.
Yeah, I was looking for the article I read 2 nights ago on the Diamond Princess, and I couldn't find it. It was a great read. It also gives us a better idea statistically of what the actual mortality rate looks like. Excuse me. And it puts the actual mortality rate, and I'm not saying this is a great thing, but it's better than what it looked like at first. It puts the actual mortality rate as someplace around, overall, I think they're estimating like 0.05% mortality rate, which is still several times what the flu is on average. I'll grant you that. And at 70 plus, even on the Diamond Princess, it was a 1% mortality rate at 70 plus. And that's probably a best case scenario because of the fact that those folks were under constant medical surveillance and they had access to care. So,
right, and that's one of the areas that's what the whole idea behind the social distancing is. It's not so much that, okay, we're going to stop this thing in its tracks.
Slow it down.
Slow down how fast people are in the hospitals, because that's what's happening in Italy. The hospitals are so overwhelmed that they're triaging now, and kind of a military style triaging of who's going to live and who's going to die. And they're having to make these decisions. And so the idea is, if we can slow this thing down, if we can get the people who are at high risk into the hospitals, then we'll be okay. But if everybody gets this at the same time, it's going to be devastating.
Oh, yeah.
So if we stay away from each other, slow it down so that eventually the people at high risk will get it, but now they have hospital beds, and they're not having to make those same decisions.
Sorry, I'm reading through the chat. I've kind of hard surfaces. Kitty, yes, Brownie is the cat is in the background. She's she's in heat, and so she thinks she wants to be around me. I wish she wouldn't be. She's being quite loud and annoying, but by and large, Randall, if you have a fever, that's been my understanding, is that's been one of the key factors is in ways to differentiate between I've just got a cold or I have coronavirus is the fever. That said, if you have a cough, if it's at all possible, go ahead and stay home. I guarantee you, if you call into work and say, no, I've got a cough, they're probably going to tell you to stay home. Yeah, Randall, pollen. Yeah, it's not warm enough here to have pollen rain yet. School's closed. Yes, I know about that, Vanessa. So, actually, seems like a really good time, because we've been talking about Italy, to look at an open letter that was written by a mom in Italy. So let me get this pulled up here. I'm not going to read the whole article here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the whole thing in and drop that in the chat. So if you guys want to actually read the article, there you go. But some do's and don'ts from a mom in Italy. Excuse me. And yeah. So as far as your kids go, if you have kids at home, do keep them at home for the love of God. Once again, even if young people aren't going to get severe symptoms, they can be an infection vector, maybe for somebody who is a higher risk group. A, and B, I just heard on Military Arms Channel's live stream that some new studies are coming in where they've done, in the United States, they've done some MRIs on the lungs of young people. They think it might be tied to vaping and smoking, but they're not entirely sure. And the MRI results from their lungs were described by the healthcare professionals as horrifying. Anyway, back to our article. Don't pay attention to what other parents are doing. Okay? It doesn't matter. You know, this falls under, if they were jumping off the roof, would you? And even if your child says yes, it doesn't matter. Do let go of screen time worrying. So this is a good opportunity, especially if you're confined to your home. If they have multiple hours of screen time for a few weeks, it's not going to kill them. I can't tell you. Well, I can tell you. A year ago, this past Christmas, a year ago, I got Destiny 2. And my goal over my work's kind of Christmas slowdown was to play an embarrassing amount of video games. And I accomplished that. We won't discuss how many hours I logged in just a week. But anyhow, I'm still alive. I made it. I might be stupider for it, but I'm still alive. Okay. Don't allow anyone to affirm that this is simply a flu. Excuse me. All right, for one thing, it's SARS. It's not a flu, it's SARS. SARS and the flu share some similarities as far as some of the symptoms, but SARS is an order of magnitude worse. Do shop responsibly. Now, this is even coming from Italy, all right? They're being hit harder with this. There is no reason to hoard. All right? Be smart with your supermarket runs. Hey, don't just go for a bag of chips, but be smart. Go out, use the sanitary wipes, especially. Hopefully they still have them. I know the Walmart around here does. Sanitize your cart. You know, don't assume that you or anyone in your family is negative. Coming from Italy, it's a virus that is often asymptomatic, and that's why it's spreading so rapidly. Do make arrangements for your family to be home together. This is for somebody if they're studying or traveling elsewhere, bring them home. All right. I'm not asking you to shut off the stream right now, but don't look for updates obsessively. There's something to, if you're always focusing on the negative. So there you go. That's a few do's and don'ts from a mom in Italy. So, so Vanessa, she was talking a little bit more about their life under quarantine, and she didn't touch on what their quarantine looks like. I know that the quarantines are varying from state to state right now. In Indiana, bars and restaurants are restricted to takeaway only right now.
Some cities like Indianapolis, Fishers, I'm not sure who else, are actually under a complete travel lockdown.
I did see.
Essential travel
I saw
only.
that the county to the south of me had switched to a travel advisory level yellow. And then, what do you know? What the current gathering size is? Have they switched it to family only?
50.
Is it still 50?
I think 50 is the
Okay.
official. Yeah, 50 is now the thing of please don't have anybody less than or more than 50 people gathered together.
And some states have religious waivers and some don't. So, you know.
Well, some of the things is most of the mayors and the governors don't want to touch churches because that gets into a whole sticky separation of church and state. However, you have some areas like Fishers that didn't shut down churches, but the travel restriction doesn't permit going to churches. So it has a caveat for going to work, to medical, grocery, pharmacy, but nothing about going to churches. So in essence, it pretty much stops people from going to church, but doesn't stop church from happening.
I know my church, we have been in discussion all week as to whether or not we're going to just live stream this weekend. We've started live streaming within the last couple of years, and I think that we're going to take advantage of that. I was really surprised at who was and wasn't there last Sunday. It was a lot of young families, which statistically are less at risk, and a lot of our older congregation members were there, and statistically they're more at risk. So I guess on one hand somebody might say they have more faith, but you know, I seem to recall something in the Bible about not tempting, so yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the attitude I've had about the churches closing is you're not really supposed to tempt God. And now, you know, a long time ago we had the ignorance, didn't really understand how this stuff works. Now we do today. So it doesn't hurt people to stay at home a little bit. You know, a lot of churches are doing live streams and stuff like that because even in Fishers, for instance, you know, priests and pastors can still drive to church because that's their work. So a lot of them are still doing just live streams, stay at home. You know, this isn't the ideal, but it works.
Yeah.
So we'll get through this.
All right. And Elias, I just saw that you sent me a picture of what the current mortality rates are. I'm going to get that up on screen.
Yeah. And I think that's I think that is a good kind of description about what's happening in Italy, what we don't want happening. Italy is a first world country. I mean, we shouldn't be having that. But because it spread so quickly and they could not care for all those people, that's what we're trying to avoid now.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm getting this pulled up pretty quickly. Yeah, since it's just a static picture of Elias, we'll go ahead and put it on his side.
There you go.
All right, so
associate me with bad news.
So Italy right now sitting at a almost 8% mortality rate off of this, primarily because they very quickly overran their country's medical facilities. And I did just see that there's some sort of pump that's being used in the testing, and blurry. Well, that's weird. It doesn't look blurry to me, Elias. I don't know. Here, what do you guys say? Is that chart blurry for you guys in the chat? We might just blame Elias's internet. That's what we're going to do until somebody else yells at me. Excuse me. It could be my internet. Once again, I am on fixed wireless internet, so if we have dropouts, yeah, that could be it. Vanessa says it's clear. Sorry, Elias, it's your internet.
Okay, it's just me.
Or it's your eyes. Put your glasses back on.
Hey, could do that too.
Anyway, so there's some sort of pump that's used in the testing for COVID-19, I guess. And there's a valve. There's a valve. And the manufacturer said it was going to be weeks before they could get more to the hospitals in Italy. So this small company took measurements and 3D printed these valves. And now the company that manufactures them is trying to sue for patent infringement. And I mean, yeah, I get it. You want to make money, but are we really going to let people die? So anyway, Iran, 6.1%. The UK is currently at 2.81% mortality. That kind of surprises me. US, now a week ago, the US was near the top of this list because of the infection in Washington State.
Correct.
So, and that's something I said on my last video. Statistically, more confirmed cases are a good thing because it helps get that mortality rate more accurate. Ideally, we wouldn't want more, but they are. I think that the last thing I heard was they're anticipating that some 40% of the United States will end up infected with this.
Right, and that's where the whole idea of spreading it out, because the infection is going to happen. Let's spread it out so that people aren't all going to the hospital at the same time. And really, the number of people dying will still be there. It's just that the rate will be more accurate and hopefully calm down some of this panic.
Right.
And as my wife said, it's supposed to be that you're trying to flatten the curve, because it's kind of that curve of the infected, and you're trying to kind of flatten it. You still get the same amount, it's just drawn out more.
Absolutely. Actually, I have an image that helps us see that flattening the curve. There it is. As soon as hang on, that picture was huge. So let me get this. I've got to say, as awesome as OBS Studio is for being free software, it's a little clunky. There you guys go. Flattening the curve. So if they've drawn this picture correctly, both of those shaded areas contain the same volume, or surface area, I guess. It's a two-dimensional object. But if all of the outbreak happens within just a few months, we surpass that dotted line, which is the capacity of the healthcare system, and the vast majority of the people above that line will die. Whereas if we can stay in that slower outbreak, we stay below that line entirely, and so then we don't overrun the healthcare facilities. Obviously, we're still going to have mortality rate because some people are just not going to be able to recover from this, unfortunately. Now, that said, oh my goodness, Chris Smith, as I live and breathe. Hi, Chris. Sorry, I just looked over in the chat. Thanks for joining, brother. That's one of the few and the proud right there. So I think that if you've eaten crayons, you are immune to the coronavirus. So just throwing that out there.
There's a Marine here?
Yep. Chris Smith, give him a raw in the chat, Chris. All right. Randall saying hopefully they're going to have a vaccine for it by the end of the year.
Best case scenario I've seen is 12 to 18 months. They said they might be able to do within 12 months, but that'll be for healthcare personnel.
So they actually have an experimental vaccine right now. The first human trial occurred in the United States. Occurred in, I believe it was Seattle, and it was injected 2 days ago.
Yeah, I believe it's Seattle.
All right, but it takes a while. Good news, though, I saw today in Australia, they have found 2 already approved drugs that seem to be functioning as a treatment, not as a vaccine, which is good because then people can get sick and then we just fix the sick. One of them is an older generation HIV drug, which would make sense because it's an antiviral. That's showing really good success in some of the Chinese patients that ended up in Australia, and I don't remember what the other one was. But the great thing is with those being approved drugs already that should be able to fast track those into circulation, unless it has to go through a separate FDA approval process to be used on a different disease, and that I don't know. Vanessa Kitty saying go USAF. So, do you guys have anything like, the Army has HUA, the Marines have URA?
No, we can actually speak in complete sentences.
So, fair enough. I'm going to start another inter-branch argument in here. Making mouth noises again. I've been told not to do that. I'm sorry. It's force of habit. I'm trying to be better for you guys, and for Elias, who had to just hear that right in his ear. So, oh, did you see, Elias, that folks in California have found out that politicians lie?
No, that never happens.
So they bought into the lie that you can get a Glock easier than you can get a textbook, and all you have to do is get online and you can order yourself one of those AR-14s sent straight to your house.
I need one of those.
And now folks are worried about civil unrest, which civil unrest doesn't have to be part of this process. On the other hand, I'm usually prepared for civil unrest. That's why I have my carry permit. Anyway, and so now they are finding out that not only can they not get stuff shipped straight to their house, but that the politics that they voted for have implemented a mandatory 10-day waiting period. So, good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah. That reminds me of the journalist who tried to go purchase a gun to see what all had to be done, and he got denied because he had a felony.
Or the one who was so convinced about, the whole gun show loophole, and then was even denied by private sales because he had an out-of-state.
That was in Indiana.
He had an out-of-state driver's license.
Yeah, they were from Chicago. They were trying to show how easy it is for Chicagoans to come down here and buy one. And went to a gun show, and every single booth told them to get lost.
Oh, yeah. Nope, it's got to go through an FFL, boys and girls.
Yeah, the industry self-regulates pretty well.
It's almost like it's almost like we'd rather bad people not have them, but anyway. But to that end, something that it looks like I may have misunderstood. In our little set list, our notes for what we wanted to cover tonight, I was going to talk about the fact many of you have probably seen in the news that a few different mayors around the country have executed some emergency orders that might call for the cessation of sales of firearms, ammunition, and alcohol. And now in one of those places, I think that there were several that I had seen, and so you guys can call it out in the chat if you know of a locality. But Elias shared with me that in the city of Champaign, Illinois, that it was not a band. And you pulled that up. I'm going to presume that you read through that. What you got there?
Yeah, pretty much. So what happened was the city council allowed the mayor to sign an executive order that allowed her to do certain things, such as shut down businesses and things like that. And in there included stopping alcohol sales and The reason that she can do that is because she's also the commissioner. The mayor is de facto the alcohol commissioner for the city. So she actually could. It would also, she could close a lot of different stores. Gun stores are included. So there's a couple different questions, and one is whether or not she would have the authority to stop gun sales, which Illinois has a preemption law, and they are registered FFL. So on that aspect, probably not. However, the city can regulate commerce. So since business permits go through the town as well as the state, a town could say, right now, you're not allowed to operate. Right. So the problem is that it's going to get taken as an assault on Second Amendment rights, and it might be. But, you know, there's going to be some legal challenges, I'm sure, if that were to happen, and the courts will have to decide whether or not she's violating preemption laws, or is she just exercising her right to regulate business. And it's kind of one of those things of you have to kind of know who the mayor is and how she is and things like that. And I think that's going to be one of those things that the residents of Champaign would know best, because they'll know their mayor, whether or not she's just using this as an excuse, or is she just trying to keep people home right now, like City of Fishers, Indiana has, and, you know, City of Indianapolis. They've ordered a lot. Gyms, movie theaters, things like that are been closed. Right. So it's hard to tell, but it definitely presents an opportunity, like we were discussing earlier, of the government using a crisis to their own end.
Well, and see, part of it's going to depend too. What one person sees as essential travel, another person might not. If I had no means to defend my family in my home, I would absolutely view a trip to my FFL to pick up a firearm as an essential. But that's me personally. That's the way I view.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing I look at it as, and this is why I'm a little bit skeptical with the whole anti-Second Amendment argument with it, is you already have a gun at the house to protect your family, right?
And that's what
So you're not going to decide right now, oh, it's a crisis, I'm going to go get prepared right at this moment, which actually brings to another point we were going to discuss about being prepared ahead of time, not at the time of crisis. So that's kind of the problem I have with the argument of, oh, it's Second Amendment. The people who need guns already have them. You know, so it's like, I get the argument of they shouldn't be closing it down, but that's kind of my... She might be doing it that way, but at the same time, shouldn't you already be prepared?
You should be already prepared, but once again, this goes back to that discussion about those folks in California are now realizing why the Second Amendment is there, are now realizing, because we have police departments nationwide, they're releasing all nonviolent offenders from their jails. And their violent offenders they are sending to state penitentiaries, and they're emptying out local jails so that they don't have like a plague vector. There are communities have put out lists of offenses that will not be ticketed or stopped during this time. And even at best, of course, we understand that when you call 911, on average, you're looking at a 10-minute response time, and that's if you call in and you say there's been shots fired, you're looking on average nationwide at about a 10-minute response time. So there are people who are only just now understanding that we are each and every one of us responsible for our own safety first and foremost. So for those people, unfortunately, I don't think that the lesson's going to stick with them. They're going to be disgusted with themselves, and they're going to end up selling a firearm later.
Yeah. And it kind of stinks, because one of the things that came out of right after the presidential inauguration and all these, you know, the immigration stuff and some things related to that, where they didn't really like what the president was going to do, and the states started doing a thing of, well, we can do this because the states and the 10th Amendment. It was kind of like a moment of, hey, you guys finally understand what we've been saying for years. The states have a right. And then it was all gone again. So, I mean, you'd like to think that, hey, maybe this will be the lesson that they learn. that their state is being overly overbearing, really, but I doubt it. I'm not going to
I
hold my
wouldn't
breath.
hold my breath. And there's been a lot of localities that are not currently processing new carry permits and fingerprinting. Again, I don't think that's an anti-Second Amendment move. I think that's a y'all need to be at home move.
But if we had constitutional carry,
I
you
was
wouldn't
getting
have
ready
that
to say
issue.
that. Stop saying what I was going to say. On the other hand, if you're staying at home, where you should be, because we should all be social distancing. The vast majority of the states have some sort of castle doctrine. It is absolutely legal. You can go ahead and holster up and walk all over your house, go out in your yard.
Supreme Court has already upheld that several times.
Yeah, you do not need a carry permit to even carry on your person or around your property. So there's also the argument that free men don't ask permission, but that, of course, does not constitute legal advice of any kind.
You still have to live with the consequences of your actions.
Absolutely. There's an old saying.
It's the saying in the military, what do you call it? Do what your pay grade can handle.
Well, there's a saying in the civilian world, I'd rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6. And, if you are truly and honestly that much in fear of your life, by all means, just understand that if you're breaking the law, you may find yourself on the wrong side of a felony. So, Randall wants to stay home, but he's got to work. I actually find myself blessed that I can say I have to go to work, especially given the fact that I work for a school. Yeah, there's a lot of my coworkers that currently don't go in every day, including my wife. So, and we're really blessed that they have worked out some things that she can do some work from home, and because she's not a teacher, she's not salaried. Yeah, we understand how this is impacting folks. Which brings us to something, I think it was Randall, I don't remember, somebody said something about looking for a stimulus, which appears to be in the pipelines.
They're trying to work one out right now. Now, what they have done is the funding bill, which will give money for things. I know one of them is going to be for sick leave for the people who are not getting paid by work for a couple of weeks, things like that. But a lot of it, I think, had to do with money towards the research or the care or something like that. And this was kind of a bill that initially the Republicans and the Democrats are arguing in the House. The president said, look, the Democrat bill is just fine. Just push it through. Get it done. The Senate wanted to try to kind of mess around a little bit with it, and McConnell told the Republicans, just fall in line. Do it. We'll deal with the things we don't like about it afterwards. But we've got to do something right now to get money in the hands of the people that need it. So it was kind of one of those really rare times of, people coming together. Whether you like it or not, it's a good thing. Or whether you like the bill or you don't like the bill, it's kind of nice to see them actually somewhat working together.
There's always a fear of bad legislation getting tucked into an emergency bill like this. We've seen a couple of attempts since the pandemic was declared to be a pandemic, where a couple of politicians have tried to sneak some crappy stuff into bills concerning the virus. Nancy Pelosi. Anyway, so as far as stimulus, now this is an interesting conversation. First off, I've seen a lot of people say, because it's going to be income-based is what they're talking. And so the people who have millions of dollars of income will not be getting anything to stimulate their further millions of dollars is what the plan is. I've seen people say, I've seen complaints, they're like, well, you're just going to pay it back on your taxes next year. Everybody's going to owe taxes next year. Yeah, there's no such thing as a free lunch. We've talked about that before on this program when we talk about things like healthcare for all and universal base wage and things like that. Or I guess that's minimum wage. There we go. By raising the minimum wage. Here's the thing. If it's starve to death now or pay back an interest-free loan in 12 months, I know which one I'm going to choose. Of course, and this is the fun part, because Elias, you and I both identify as libertarian. I actually ran one of those nifty little political spectrum things, and I'm really far to the right horizontally and smack in the middle vertically. If somebody were to call this yet another red socialist ploy, how do you respond to that?
There's no black and white. And I think there are times where you have to kind of look at what's best. And, I think intent is going to be a big part of this. If the intent is to make sure that people are not about to lose homes over things that are not their fault, this is not the same exact thing as the housing thing, where the banks are the ones that messed up and people were doing things they shouldn't have been doing. Nobody could have expected a bunch of companies to just suddenly shut down. The big three this morning announced that they're going to stop all production. That's a lot of people out of work. And so, I think as long as the intent is to actually help people, and this is not just they're not trying to create a welfare state. If that's going to be the concern of some of the libertarians and some of the conservatives, that's not what this is, in my opinion. This is, let's try to get people through this, and then we'll deal with it afterwards. But at the same time, you have to do it smart. We also can't kill ourselves by doing that, because then we'll just be in a worse position.
What frightens me, what I'm concerned with, is that they're just going to fire up the printing presses at the Mint, and they're going
to do that anyway. I mean, they're going to do that anyway, because that's what our system is built on. Our system is built on debt. So that's pretty much what they're going to do.
Which, speaking of, because that makes me think of the gold standard, which we've gone away from, I've seen precious metals have pretty well bottomed out, and every place is either out of stock or they're listing out of stock because they would have to sell below cost. So, fun facts there for you guys.
Yeah.
It's a good time to get into silver if you can find some. It will bounce back, and possibly you could turn a pretty handsome profit. That kind of goes back to a couple of subjects ago. Poor conservative is a constitutionalist. That's what I try to call myself. That's what I try to be. Try to be just a decent human being. Yes, I get that. The heart of man is deceitful and wicked. Who can know it? Or it's wicked above all things. Who can know it? And there are none righteous, no, not one. I get that. It doesn't mean that we can't strive to be better. But all in all, I think that a stimulus package of some sort would be a great thing. I know that they are talking about it being maybe 2 checks a month apart or so. Which, good time to kind of go back and talk about what we've heard for timelines. I have heard 45 days until we kind of peak at the infection rate.
Yeah, I've heard as many as 10 to 12 weeks.
And see,
so,
this is
before going back to normal. So that would be, once you hit that peak and it kind of starts tapering down where they feel comfortable.
So here's the thing. This goes back to flattening the curve. As far as stuff getting back to normal, it would seem like a faster peak would be better. Unfortunately, if we have, 10% of the sick people dying, that's going to create its own different economic and social strain. And obviously, morally, I think that you're a really bad person if you say, well, we should give up 10% of everybody who gets sick just because it would be better for the economy. Yeah, that just felt terrible to say. Because you got to think, if they're estimating that 40% of the population is going to get this, well, I don't math in my head this quickly. So we've got roughly 330 million people. That's 33 million. There we go. So if 40% were to contract this, that's 132 million. And if we let it hit that like 8% that Italy's looking at right now, that would be 10.5 million potentially dead from this. That's horrific.
Yeah. And that's where the whole thing is. You know what? Suck it up. It's gonna suck for a little while, but
yeah,
that's what you do.
Yeah. If I could give key takeaways, I think it would be number one: panicking is always the wrong answer. Because when you panic, you either switch into do anything even if it's wrong mode, or you freeze up and do nothing, and both of those are wrong. And if you are already a prepper, then you're ready to ride this out and you're good for a few months. If you weren't already a prepper, take these lessons to heart and start that after everything gets back to normal. At the very least, the CDC recommends at all times having a month's supply on hand. I don't. I'll be honest there. So when I go in and I'll give you one. I wanted to grab some ramen noodles. My kids love ramen noodles, and I was thinking I'd pick up a couple boxes because they do store for like ever. Everybody else decided that they were going to buy ramen noodles as well. So I finally found one box of shrimp flavored. I don't know if my kids like shrimp flavored, but it is what it is. Yeah. Now, that said, we've said several times, though we don't believe that this is a manufactured, i.e. this is a true pandemic. I don't personally believe that this is a bioweapon. Although you do have to admit that it has done a whole lot to quiet down civil protests in places like Hong Kong. I'm sure that the government will use it to try to do some shady, sneaky stuff. And in fact, they already are pushing something. And somewhere in here, I've got the name of that. The encryption bill, Elias. What is that called?
Earn it.
Yes. So,
see, poor conservative, I think that is a prepper. You got a good stock of food, you're prepared for something. That is a prepper. Not all of them are the ones that have bunkers somewhere on 300 acres hidden by forest.
Right. And, I don't know that there's necessarily anything wrong with that if you're not cutting into your normal budget. If you're still able to live your normal life, your kids are able to, well, you can't play baseball this year because I've got to buy whatever. Well, that's probably the wrong way to do it. But if you're in a position where you have a fallback location and maybe some like-minded folks that you're ready to roll if you need to, I don't personally see anything wrong with that.
No.
So, but
anyway,
yeah,
you were
I was talking
about
Earn It. I have seen snippets of that, and I know that they're wanting to basically, once again, they are attacking end-to-end encryption.
Without actually saying it, which is the greatest way to do it. You do it very sneakily.
Absolutely. Like the prevent school violence bill or whatever. Actually, no, that one turned out to be a good bill. Oh, the 3D printed gun safety bill. I talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago. That it sounds like, okay, we're going to put this in place that if you're 3D printing guns, they at least need to be safe. No. It's an attack on the First Amendment, and they're trying to make it illegal to disseminate those files or even have possession of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, earn it. Break it down for us, if you will, good sir.
So, keeping with the time-honored tradition of won't somebody think of the
gosh.
children, this is a bill that pretty much says that providers have to be able to give access to things that way they can track down child exploitation. Is pretty much the gist of it, by the esteemed senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, which really isn't surprising. So there's been a few times where they've been trying to get into things like iPhones or whatnot, and Apple is smart enough to not build back doors into them because that they understand that if there's a back door that they can use, then anybody else can use it also.
Pandora's box will eventually be
and
opened.
this would pretty much make it. Yeah, this will pretty much make it illegal. But they're being smarter than Australia, and instead of saying it straight out, they're just wording it in such a way that would require by law that to happen. So it would break pretty much all end-to-end encryption.
How does that work?
Legally.
How does that work with a service like Secure Shell on Linux servers?
You would essentially have to have a back door. Is pretty much what they're going to say. There has to be a way. They're not calling it a back door, but that's essentially what it would have to be.
So,
now, how are you going to enforce it on the open source community? Good luck.
Well,
but
my next question, though, is I'm looking at things like HIPAA. Once they've done this, once again, you can't close Pandora's box. So once they've required, are we going to have exceptions in there for things like medical records? Because this will be exploited.
Doubtful. And you got to remember the people who are writing these laws, they don't actually understand how any of this works. So in their heads, no, it'll be secure because only the company that made it can get into it, not understanding that if there is a weakness anywhere, it can be found and it can be used, and eventually it will be. I mean, even encryption methods have been broken. So when you're purposely putting something in place to bypass that encryption, it's definitely going to be found.
So what about service? Well, here's one that you and I both use, Proton Mail. They are based in Switzerland because then Switzerland has no data extradition laws, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How does that work?
The only thing I can think of is that they could compel service providers in the U.S. to not allow it, to block it. That's the only thing I can think of. They can't do anything. I mean, they'd have to try to get the Europeans to agree to it. And I think with the way the Europeans are at privacy, especially the Swiss, they're going to tell the U.S. to get lost with it. But that's the only thing I can think of is block it.
I think that the best bet is for all of you good folks to reach out to your senators and representatives and tell them that earn it is not the good idea that it looks like on the surface. Tell them that if they're not sure why, because they don't understand technology, that they need somebody who is not just tech savvy on these committees to explain how this is going to break computing as we know it. I mean, this puts at risk everything. Your bank transactions. It puts at risk your medical records. It puts at risk your... Well, here, think of the children. It puts at risk everything. I guarantee you, if you have a school-age child, everything about them is in a student information system. Because, I mean, from the school standpoint, it used to be all paper records. This isn't anything new. They always had medical records and things like that. Your school nurse probably treats your child more than almost any other healthcare provider. Personal stuff. Did you have a relationship go bad and now you've got somebody who needs to not be able to get to your children or know anything about them? If this goes through for the right for the right payment to the right person, none of that is private anymore. So, I mean, go ahead and turn that against them. Think of the children. Because I guarantee you, in your child's school system, there is a child who would be at risk if some adult who used to be in their life knew where they were. I guarantee it. And maybe your child, if your ex, I mean, I don't know, that might be the situation that you're in. Yeah, encryption. Look, coming at this as a parent, I actually run a web filter on my home internet, and I intentionally break the encryption of the internet so that I can keep my kids safe. So it's called SSL sniffing or SSL snooping or deep packet inspection. And I'm here to tell you I have a list of exceptions in that web filter nearly as long as my arm, because there's things that just don't work without that proper encryption. So now those congressmen will tell you that because it's the service providers who are implementing this at their end, that it's not going to break things, but it's going to break things. Any automated system, go ahead and raise your hand if you had Facebook posts that were taken down as community guideline violations over the last week as they switched to more automated spam filters. If you shared a news article about coronavirus this week, you probably did. That's what happens when we start trusting more automated systems. I don't know. All right, Elias, it's 10:30. We've been doing this for the better part of 2 hours, my friend.
Yep.
Any final thoughts? Anything that we were supposed to talk about that we didn't hit?
No, that I can think.
Alrighty. Well, hey, what about you fine folks who are still sticking with me? Poor conservative said he was a Boy Scout, not a prepper. Okay. Well, always prepared. Which is the basis of the prepper mentality, always prepared. Anyway, guys, once again, I kind of shared the hand sanitizer video early on as a gag, but no, that really does work. You can add some essential oils to that if you want it to smell good. Otherwise, if you're not able to find that 91% alcohol anywhere, I can make up a few bottles of this hand sanitizer. Reach out to me at my channel email, and we'll get that worked out, and I will get stuff to you. Congratulations once again to our 4 winners tonight, which were Vanessa K., Christian M., Jason P., and Jeremy W. I will be emailing you guys to get shipping information so that I can get your winnings to you. If you're in a position and you want some channel merch, you guys can do that over at bit.ly/trmerch. But there again, once again, I understand we just spent quite a while talking about how we are probably staring down the barrel of a recession. So I will not be offended if you don't find yourself in a position to buy yourself some channel merch. Yeah, Randall, you just missed out on being a winner, but there is the 500 subscriber giveaway. Guys, share the channel. We'll get those subscribers up. I noticed today that I've hit 260, so we are on our way to the next 250. And, you know, I've got some ideas on what I want to offer. Of course, you know, if I'm eating out of a garbage can lid by the time I hit 500 subscribers, it might be, you know, some pocket lint. But we'll do what we can do. So, appreciate you guys being here. Elias, once again, now brownies, that's not nice. It was not pay to win. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Anyway, Elias, thank you for joining. I hope that you're able to be a more frequent guest again. So, Liberty Review, where you at on that? Is that something you're going to just stay on a little bit more of a hiatus, or do you have stuff in works for that?
I knew you were going to ask. No, I've been thinking about it, and I'll probably start putting something together for another episode.
Well, we are all... Okay, I'm going to assume that everybody else enjoyed your first episode and your intro as much as I did. I always enjoy your input on things. You're a big help, and I really think that definitely these live streams are better with your input on them. So, guys, I think that's it for this week. I certainly appreciate you guys joining us. So be safe, guys. Stay inside if you can be inside. Well, okay. Keep up the social distancing, and we're living in a great time because we can do things like, well, when it works, we can Skype, or we can find other solutions, right, Elias? We can do things like have live streams. We've got Discords. Almost every cell phone plan in the United States now is unlimited talk and text. We've got video chat. This is things, if this would have happened even a decade ago, we wouldn't have had the ability to stay connected to our loved ones the way we do now. So take advantage of that. Just because we can't physically be close doesn't mean that we can't still be close with our loved ones. If you have the ability to get out and about some while still maintaining your distance, like I have been able to still go out for runs several days this week, do that. Your physical and mental health will appreciate that. But that said, once again, if you're not able to maintain that 6-foot distance, keep up those good hygiene habits. Wash your hands. Use your hand sanitizer. If you've got the tickle in your throat, use the shoulder. If you've got N95 masks, and from what I've read, those N95 masks do not help prevent you from getting. However, if you've got a cough, they may prevent you from spreading. So if you got some of those N95 masks and you've got any mild symptoms and you have to go out, go ahead and put those on. All right. So, yes, stay safe. Stay active as you can inside. And until next time, guys, shoot straight and stay safe.